Hey, Sketch.
Hey Tay, so we just finished up ranking of the kings, and you were looking up. There was a kingdom called the Yakuza Kingdom, and you were looking up to see what was the deeper meaning behind the name. Turns out it was just a pun. It's literally just Yakuza with the G in it, but we also discovered that there's a bunch of other puns.
We should have noticed this earlier. You noticed healing is healing.
But then we also have King Boss because he's the boss.
Kage means shadow, just like in Hokage, it means fire shadow.
And we have Boji, which Bo means alone, and Ojo means prince, so combine those and you get Boji.
Lonely prince. And then Daisha's is very interesting. His is a rearrangement of Hades. So you take the last part of his name and put it in front. Hades.
And Despa is apparently Spade. We're still not entirely sure about the meaning behind that one.
And both of them are in this space because of Sutton, which is a combination of Saturn, the Roman king, or as we know him as Zeus's father, Kronos, and Satan. It's a combination of the two.
And we have Oken, which Ode means sword and Ken means king, so literally king of swords.
And then my favorite, Daida. Dai means big, and dad, or da, means dad, so Big Daddy Daida, or the prediction of what he is, possessed by his dad.
Do you just like that pun because it's kind of like Big Mom from One Piece?
No, I just thought Big Daddy Daida just comes off the tongue really well. If he becomes the number one king, that's what he's going to call himself. Big Daddy Daida.
And my personal favorite, Domas, which has two meanings. Either Sword Master, which literally just Sword Master, or Soul Dumbass. And you know,
Probably the second one.
the man threw himself down a flight of stairs.
So if you guys have more pun names for us, Ranking the Kings, or any other anime, or any other TV show, leave it down in the comments. So quick question for you, what was your favorite moment in this episode?
Alright, I sort of have to pick two. So there's Boji Blitz, which a term you coined, where Boji hits all of the weak points on Oken during their fight. Pretty much shatters his sword, shatters his mask, punches a hole through his chest, and knocks out Oken for about a second.
The Boji Blitz was also my favorite. My favorite part was that you got to see the mask come off. You still see Oken looks like just like their brother. It's just he has deranged eyes and he's lost his humanity, but he's still their brother. And the scene right after where Despa and the captain come to save is also great. Throws the spear, lightning hits the spear, and at first I thought it was Apis, but this is a great scene because Despa is there. He's gonna be a hero this time.
I don't get why they call it a spear when it's very clearly an axe.
Translation?
It could be a translation thing. It's an Anyway, this is an issue that I
They should
really...
have called it an Apis because Apis is Supia, which is Japanese for spear.
Oh my god, you...
Speaking of other characters, what was your favorite character in this episode?
So this either will come down to either Daisha or Boji himself, because Daisha has a cool little moment where he steps up to Oken and then Boji's just giving it all, his all
I mean Despa?
Despa.
Kept saying Daisha. He's sitting on the throne, whispering in.
So funny thing about their names, the Japanese katakana for those two is literally the exact same thing, except
One has a tiny apostrophe at the corner.
that is
English reference, but it's a tiny circle in the corner of the name.
so dumb. It makes sense for the plot, but it's so dumb.
But that doesn't give me an excuse for you to mix it up. It's a whole letter difference here.
It's Daisha, Despa. Look, I know you've messed it up too.
Despa, Despair, Daisha, Hades. Not too hard, man.
God. Anyway, so I'm dying.
Oh, I'll do my favorite character since you can get over the Despa Daisha thing. My favorite character was Kage. He showed his emotions, and we got to see a cool cliffhanger with Kage going Super Saiyan, right? And I think the whole story revolves around Kage interrogating Miranjo, going up and trying to help Boji multiple times, Boji rejecting it, but he still wants to help Boji, and that's what makes Kage Kage.
Kage is the ultimate hype man. He always has been.
Definitely the best wingman. Do you think this setting made any difference to the story?
We've sort of been stuck at the castle for a while now, and we've been fighting in front of this Bolivian for a little bit. We haven't really had that much of a change. It's literally just, hey, we're still fighting in the castle.
And they haven't been using this pavilion to any extraordinary uses since a couple episodes ago, where Boji used it to get to high ground to get rest, and then he couldn't because he had to protect the bandit. And then we've seen a couple of scenes where he's using the terrain, but nothing out of this world where this setting couldn't have been done, let's say, in the king's room.
Fair enough. So, what were your overall, how'd you feel this episode?
I felt scared for Boji.
Uh,
He got stabbed almost twice.
He did get stabbed.
He did, but almost twice.
Fair enough.
Okin stabbed through himself to get Boji. He stabbed Despa. All our favorite characters are getting stabbed. Only one left is Kage.
It's a pretty tense episode.
And the captain got stabbed too from the underworld.
Oh, right. Oh,
Yeah.
and it's a pretty tense episode. Boji's at his limit. No one can really seem to stand up to Okin, and the only technique that seems to work on Okin is lightning, and Okin conquered it.
So he caught the lightning and had it channeled through Zuko on one side. But unlike Zuko, he can do that.
The perks of being immortal, I can catch lightning, and so long as it doesn't hit my vitals, I'm fine. It won't knock me out.
Basically, I won't get stunned. So this episode was crazy. Another crazy thing is we get to learn about Boss and how long he's lived. How old do you think Boss is? Because from what we see is not history, we see his story.
I hate you. I hate you for this joke for eternity. I want you to know that, Tay.
Well, go ahead and tell us how old he is.
Very old. Anyway, so we learn through a story that Boss tells Bebin that he met Moranjo when he went to the kingdom of, what was it? Hosha?
Homa.
So Boss went to the kingdom of Homa to fight a mage to become a more powerful warrior. This is where he met Moranjo's family and accidentally killed his dad.
Not accidentally, they were fighting.
But anyway, it leads into... Anyway, what I'm trying to... Boss goes into the Kingdom of Mages to become a better warrior, accidentally kills his dad, but because of Moranjo's mother's compassion, he decides to stay with them, and you apparently end up embroiled in a battle between gods. So he kind of
In between gods, the humans against gods, Homa against gods.
What are the gods anyway?
The gods seem like to be a species in this universe, more like the Greek pantheon kind of deal, where they can come and mingle and fight. And the reason I say this is because Sutton had 3 kids like a Zeus or Chromos that are demigods, and one of them is literally named after Hades. So there's obviously these relations, and what do you think the gods are?
So far, they're sort of confirmed to be a race that's dying out, or at least that's what Boss seems to allude to. He did say that giants only have one kid, and that the giants and the gods are destined to die out.
Right, but then here's another question for you. Do you think the gods are uniquely... Obviously you have unique powers, because they're very strong. But do you think they're like celestial dragons in One Piece, where they just proclaim themselves to be gods? Or Kami from Dragon Ball names himself Kami?
It's a little bit hard to tell because the only god we've seen so far is Saturn.
And he died.
And he's very, 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 very dead.
And he seemed to also need an army, and he could fight on his own to keep his kingdom. So it's not like that they have like these omnipotent, omniversal powers. They seem to have powers because Desha, you got me mixed up now. I got it right the first time too. Desha inherited them, and we see how strong the lightning powers are when he uses them. So I can only imagine how strong they were with Sutton used them.
So we get this entire conflict between the Kingdom of Mages, the Gyaku Kingdom, and the Kingdom of the Gods. The Gyaku Kingdom is not full of very good people.
Who would have guessed? A kingdom named after the Yakuza would be a Yakuza-like kingdom.
They turned on the Kingdom of Mages, killed Moranjo's mother. Speaking of Moranjo, what is she now?
She seems to be like a spirit in a mirror, a genie in a jar kind of deal, you know what I mean? But she says she's powerless, so the only thing she can really do is just talk to people.
She still has some of her magic. She can still influence the world outside from that mirror because she's able to control people. She's able to control Okin.
Simple-minded creatures is what she said.
And
which could just be basic magic.
Yes, but she could also turn her mirror into solid gold.
And diamond.
So what else is she capable of doing through that mirror?
She said to Kage nothing. She's not a very reliable person, per se. She also told Daida that she would make him stronger.
She did make the body stronger, just not Daida specifically.
I don't even know if she made him stronger. Honestly speaking, when we saw that water scene and Daida was helping out, Maybe Daida was this strong all along. You know what I mean? The only difference is a mindset of knowledge.
What, do you think Daida was strong enough to crush a tree into diamond?
Maybe that year he would have been. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Sometimes when you just get older, you just learn what your body can do.
It seems like when your parents are strong in this universe, you become really, really strong. Unless your name is Despa. Then you just don't become strong. Why do you think that is?
Despa has a lot of reasons for not becoming strong despite having strong parents, but it definitely isn't knowledge. He knew exactly how to become strong. He's made everyone else very strong, and he is a kingmaker, right? I think Despa is beta Boji. Not beta as in subservient, but more like a programming code, you know what I mean? Where this is not the final release, where he went through all the work and effort to learn how to become stronger, but could never implement it because he didn't have the skill set or the body.
So then Boji is a complete product of his ineptitude?
I think he's the only product that would actually work with Despa's knowledge base. Look at Despa had every single weapon, so I have reason to believe that he tried every single fighting style.
And it just did not work with him?
It just seemed like his body couldn't keep up with his mind.
Oh, fair enough. You know what, speaking of Despa, we also had a really bizarre scene. So, I mentioned that Despa tried to step up to Oaken, and he has a little bit of this where his body did actually do what his mind knew had to happen, where he trapped Oaken, and we had this weird flashback of Oaken and Despa, where Oaken says, now is not the time to save him. What do you think that meant?
That was a strange scene, right? And when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, is Oaken doing the little face hidden, I'm gonna trick you into letting me go to stab you? Which is exactly what happened. But then I realized Oaken doesn't have superpowers.
Oaken doesn't have, his freeze is literally him throwing a rock at a vital point.
He has no powers except for super regeneration and his swordsmanship. So it wasn't Oaken that sent that message. I don't think Miranjo did anything.
No. Do you think it was just wishful thinking on Despa's part?
It felt like it. It felt like Despa just had this memory of where he was like, me and you are gonna go out together, buddy, and then maybe it was Oaken.
Just near death, Oaken tried to save Despa?
But the Oaken inside Despa, not the Oaken that we see.
Yeah, the Oaken we see on the outside is very much trying to kill Despa.
Because Despa got stabbed anyways, and he was like, and now is not the time to save me.
Stab.
That leads into our final scene, where no one else is left, the big four haven't arrived, and Oaken is about to finish off Boji, and Kage comes running in and turns into a giant blob monster.
Very, very descriptive, but that, fair enough to you, that is exactly what happened. So, we do know that Kage is cursed in some form or fashion. Do you think this is his curse?
This is him releasing his curse?
Maybe?
Because I thought the curse was that they just have a bad time because they're Shadow Clan.
That could be it.
And the only way to get out of this curse was
to eat Oaken?
I was gonna say the power of friendship, leading him to become a giant amorphous blob. But yes, maybe he eats Oaken and their curses cancel out.
Oh boy, so that's a whole different question. Do you think, yeah, it probably has to do something with this curse affecting his body.
Or it's just Kage going full on out. Maybe it's just a Shadow Clan ability we didn't see yet, because they all been extinct.
We don't know too much about Shadow Clan.
So what do you think this form can do?
Other than maybe enhance strength, maybe he puts Kage into a frenzy state.
He's definitely in a frenzy state. I think it's just gonna be him being bigger, and maybe instead of needing shadows, he creates shadows to hide in and use.
Or he can morph shadows.
Like a Naro Clan member, like Amaru.
Shikamaru. He can already morph his body to a certain extent.
So why not morph the shadows around him? But that goes with what I was saying. Maybe he starts controlling shadows around him, because their best abilities are used in the shadows.
Fair enough.
Well, thanks for listening. I hope you guys have a good day.
Laters.